morning. I was waking up from what I thought was a normal surgery to remove an abscess and was about to get cleared to be back playing baseball and being a kid. The surgeon came in, and for the first time I realized where I was, but more importantly, where I wasn't. I wasn't in the recovery room in the surgery center like I should have been. I was in the normal hospital room with my mother, father, and stepmother. It was mid-afternoon and the blinds were open, but all my memory can produce in this moment is darkness. I have decided that even though the memory is dark, it must be something my mind has added to this hellish narrative. Once I was awake enough to realize that having two more parents than I did before surgery probably wasn't a good thing, my mind began to race and think about what could have possibly gone wrong and why they had shown up. Dozens of possibilities rushed in and out of my head, but even though I am someone who can always think of the worst case scenario, I never guessed the right one. The right one, of course, being cancer. A couple weeks later, I found myself on the way up to Portland to begin my treatment. I walked in the door Becca for the first time without a clue of what was to come. A 2-day stay that was to be my first chemotherapy treatment turned into 6 days and a major surgery that will leave me scarred forever. I continued bi-weekly chemo for 7 months and my body took an unbelievable toll. I lost a substantial amount of weight because the hunger pains were less than the pain of walking to the fridge with borderline 3rd-degree burns on my groin from radiation. I had headaches that were so bad, I hid my head in a pillow for hours at a time, unable to escape the pain by sleeping. On the weeks that I wasn't in treatment, I had to fight through crippling back pain just to be in public and around my football team, which I was no longer allowed to play for. And probably worst of it all, I remember looking into the mirror during an infusion and not recognizing the reflection. I remember seeing the body, but it wasn't mine as I knew it. It was so beaten up that I was scared to see myself. I remember the feeling when the understanding of what it was doing to my body set in. I remember when I first understood how bad the damage was and the fear of how it would permanently affect me. But the most painful memory is when it finally set in that I wasn't even close to the only one. I sat there in bed in the hospital, deep into the night, listening to the cries of a baby in the room over. The pain that I was in paled in comparison to knowing that a child who couldn't understand it was dealing with the same thing. I sat there in pain with my mind racing, thinking about the pain the baby must be in. And as my mind threw more thoughts at me, I lost more and more control over what was going on in my own head. But the one thing that hit the hardest was the baby doesn't even understand the pain, but the pain is all that it knows. This sadly is the case for too many children. They end up with cancer so young that their entire life is treatment. But this organization, the San Day Foundation, works incredibly hard to change that. Not only do they take the time to invest in research that shows true promise and may one day help treat children's cancers better, but they invest in opportunities and items that can improve the life and happiness of children fighting an unbelievably hard battle. And with your help, they can do even more. I understand that we may not be able to cure cancer yet, but we can absolutely do our best to make sure that one day, children don't have to suffer through incredibly toxic and destructive treatments as they do now, just for a chance at life. Thank you.